Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this edition of Follow Suit Fashion Unfiltered. And to all my first-time viewers, I'm going to give you a brief synopsis of what Follow Suit is all about. Follow Suit is a mantra, which means to follow the suit. And as you follow it, you're going to come to realize that the suit is a role model and a mentor whose purpose is to give guidance to the young men of this community and as well as to society. And it is my duty to honor and salute some of the individuals who not only follow suit, but they actually put the suit on and they wear it well. Hence the point, my guest today, Tony Price. How you doing, brother?
I'm good, T, man. Thank you. How are you?
I'm doing all right. I'm glad you could take time out your busy schedule and come on through. I appreciate you. I mean, it's my pleasure having you here, brother.
No, man, listen, when you gave me the invitation, I was like, I'm going to make time to go see my brother, man, because I respect what you do, what you've been doing. And, we go back a lot of years, man, from back in days playing at what we called the Mecca back then. It's Washington Park. It's now Malcolm X Park, man. But you always been a class act then, so I was like, yo, my brother called. I'm going to go see him, man.
Yes, sir, man. I appreciate you. I appreciate you coming through. So like I'd say, the show is called Follow Suit Fashion Unfiltered. So we're going to start off with a little bit talking about fashion. Is that all right with you?
I'm not in the same class with you, man, but let's go ahead and do it.
Hey, that's a lot of my guests come on here and they say that, but I know because I've been watching you as we've been coming up together, and you've always been a gentleman. You always have your own style. You always dress like a gentleman, and you always dress like a man, and that's part of what we're here to do, is to inspire these young men to dress for success and dress like a man, dress like what you need to represent for our community and our culture and our people.
That's right.
So that's what we're gonna start off a little bit of that. So I like you got on the nice suit here. So who were some of the people that you admired that you might have stole a little something from when you wanted to get dressed?
That's a good question, too, because I was like, who was it? Obviously my first role model, my first hero was my dad.
Right.
My dad, Mr. Ted Birch, who's now deceased. Passed away a couple years ago, but he was the first one, man. Because as a little boy, you just follow what you see, right? And in the community, man, I grew up in Mission Hill, so back in the '70s, brothers was sharp then, man. But my dad would be the first person that I saw, and then of course, you go to different places like church, and you see the pastor dressed in nice suits. Right. You see politicians, just that seemed like men who were prominent, who had leadership roles. Always dressed nice. Whether it was custom made, I don't know, but they took great pride in their appearance, man. And as a little boy, I didn't really understand that. We got dressed up for Easter. That was like Easter is the time you're wearing suits, so you get dressed up, man. But then as you get older, you go through that whole phase of adolescence and being a teenager. I just noticed, man, that people just respond to you differently when you dress a certain way.
Right.
You can be who you are. I don't try to emulate anybody in my style. You ask who I pattern myself after. I would say nobody in particular. I just like what's comfortable for me and what's on me.
Right.
And I just realized that there's a way you carry yourself and people treat you accordingly.
Right.
And we've lost that, as you alluded to a little earlier. We lost that pride in wanting to dress nice and just be seen that way. And we got some work to do, obviously, with some young people because they don't know what they don't know. And it's up to us to continue to let them know that it's okay to put a suit on, all right? Once in a while, and it doesn't make you less hard or less masculine.
Right.
It's okay.
The saying we say, when you look good, you feel good.
Absolutely, man. and you really find that out like when you're in high school age. For me, it was during the high school was a pivotal time, like my junior and senior year. Just the response, man. People from teachers to the girls, which we all try to dress to impress them.
There you go.
Let's get right to it.
So you actually wore suits sometime during the school when you was in high school?
Shirt and tie, even with a pair of jeans, because our era came up with the designer jeans stuff fad, right? So even with a nice pair of jeans, put some loafers on, a nice shirt on, and a nice tie, because you knew that you would make that impression.
Yeah, exactly. You couldn't keep the girls off. You interrupting the school sometimes.
Sometimes, those are some of the benefits of it, man. But also when you get your first job,
right.
Like going to an interview, like just that whole educational mindset. I remember real quickly, I went to an interview. It was a security job, and I meant to meet the supervisor, and it was a brother. And I was like, this is a security job. You don't got to get dressed for that interview. That's what I'm thinking, right? I'm wearing some jeans. I just wasn't presentable.
Right.
And my brother brought me in his office. We talked for a minute. He's like, I'm not giving you the job. I was like, why? He said, because you came down here dressed like that. You didn't even take pride. He just gave me a whole lesson right there. Right. I don't remember the brother's name. I never got the job. But that was a lesson that I had to learn, man, about dressing for success.
Right. That's right. So y'all young men pay attention. And like I said, we just talked off camera a minute ago about the legend, Coach Wilson. And one of his lessons he always taught me, if you ever watched the episode, and I still carry to this day, is you never get a second chance to make a first impression.
So true.
And so we're still sticking on fashion, because you say you don't got some style, but you don't have on a plain patterned shirt. You have on a shirt with a little bit of pattern. So is that one of your signature things that you like, wearing some kind of patterned shirt with your suits?
T, to be honest with you, you know, I was just plain guy, blue, black, brown. That was me coming up. I got to give credit where credit is due. My wife helped me expand to get and experiment with colors, man. My wife, Paula, she's the person behind that. She was like, you know, step out, you know, be a little bold, take a chance once in a while, you know, because again, I'm that just plain simple brother, man. And so I credit her with helping me expand my color selections, wearing a shirt like this, you know, because she really saw those things look good on me. And because I had a lot of public appearances, she was like, you know, change it up a little bit. And so I give credit where credit is due. She's the one to help me expand my repertoire, if you will, for dressing.
Okay, so here's a question that I ask a lot of them, I guess. You don't have on one today, but the tie. Mm. And I'm going to ask you, who taught you how to tie your first tie?
Without hesitation. I prefer not to wear ties most of the times, but I do wear them. But without hesitation, it was my father.
It was your father?
Yeah, it was my father, man. And it was, I think I was a teenager when I asked him, because I remember when I was a little young boy, I was wearing the clip-ons. It was easy to put those on, right? Cheating, hey, the cheat code, you do what you gotta do, right? But as a little boy, you know, I don't care. But as I got to be a teenager, and I realized I didn't know how to tie one. And I was, like I said, in high school, I was starting to wear shirts, and I wanted to wear shirt and ties. So my dad just took me to the mirror one day and just showed me how to tie a tie, man. And then I've passed it on. I've shared with my sons how to do that. And you know, anytime I can share with another young man, I'll share them how to do it, because we take it for granted that you just know how to do it, and you don't. Somebody needs to teach you how to do that.
All right. That's right. That's right. And you know, it's funny because, like I said, this show we're trying to inspire these young men, and some of them come from broken homes like myself. And probably I'll say so far, maybe 70% or higher, when it came to the tie, their mother had a teacher. Mm. You know, so that's like one thing too that makes me know that what I'm doing here, hopefully, is doing something.
I would say there's no doubt about it, Tony, because you know, you don't know, you're taping these shows, you're bringing on guests, but you don't know the reach you're gonna have with this show, man. Somebody that's never gonna meet you probably is watching your show, and they're like, wow, this brother's all about making sure we dress for success and giving us tips on how to do that. And he's presenting men who are also walking that walk, man. So without a doubt, your show's making a difference. Trust me, brother.
Okay, I appreciate that. So last question on fashion, then we're gonna go on to Tony Price, the man. Last question, let's see. Suits, do you like pinstripe, solids, window pane?
A little bit of both. I say pinstripes and solid. Those would be my preference. I just think they look better on me. You know, again, I'm venturing out into more different styles too. Yeah, I'm trying to get out there, but I'm not there yet, brother. It's, you know, baby steps. But definitely solid and pinstripes, man. And what I usually, if you look at my closet, that's what you'll see right now. And you know, I'm getting into the browns a little bit more, the lighter blue color shades. You know, I love the color suit you got on right there. I'm gonna have to check that out. But again, it's just really exploring more and just seeing what looks good on me, what I feel comfortable in. Because, you know, as you know, T, you can see a lot of good looking things, man, but they don't necessarily mean they're gonna look good on you.
Everything doesn't look good on everybody.
Right, exactly. So I want to be conscious of that.
That's the one thing I always say: find your niche and be in your niche. Find your lane. So you know, that's like me. Some of fashion stuff I just don't wear because it ain't for me. Even though I might like it and it looks good, but it's just not me. It don't look good on me.
Right. And you know, that's me. That's me to a T, man. I'm gonna stay with what I'm comfortable with, and as long as I like it, then it's all right.
Well,
so,
you got it good together, and you know, we're gonna shout out the wife for making sure you came through representing, because you representing for her as well.
Absolutely.
So shout out to the wife for that, and like I said, we brought you on here because it's Follow Suit Fashion Unfiltered, and we're gonna talk about, like I said, we're here to salute and honor men who are doing work in the community and working with the young and inspiring the young, and you do that type of work. So now we're going to talk about that for our viewers who might not know who Tony Price is and all the work and stuff you have done. So let's spill into that.
All right, let's get into it.
So let's say, go ahead, give them your spill of who you are and what you're doing right now at this time.
So for those who don't know me, my name is Tony Price. I'm currently the athletic director for Randolph Public Schools. This is my 11th year doing that. Prior to that, I was also a college administrator and head basketball coach for 11 years at the college level, and then I'll go a little back further than that. I worked in the community centers in Boston, impacting the lives of youth for a lot of years, actually, giving back some of what I got from the community. You know, it's just really a chance that, you know, what I would say is this, like many young people, young men that you know and I know, Tony, growing up, I wanted to be a pro basketball player, right? So we know that's overabundance of black men want to be football or pro basketball players, and I was no different than that. But reality was, I wasn't walking in my purpose. I was, you know, I thought that was my dream, but it really wasn't my dream. It was somebody else's crafted dream for me. And I think I want people to really hear that, because you can have a passion for something, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's your purpose. Right. And so what I realized, man, is that there's got to be another way for me to make a living doing something that's purposeful and meaningful for me. So getting involved with working with young people in the community, it started out with me starting my own basketball league. In Academy Homes, I had a league right by Marcella Park. I would recruit some men, because I wanted them to see positive black men in the community, and not just hear about all the negative stuff we had. So I started volunteering, and from that, one door opened to the next door, opened. So from there, I developed a career in working with young people. And what I tell people nowadays, to make a long story short, no, I'm not a professional athlete, but I am a professional. I am a professional in athletics.
Okay,
I want our young men who are listening to this right now to understand the difference between the two. Right. I didn't make it as a pro athlete. I tried. I had a great career, went to college, had all that stuff, went overseas, tried to make a living over there, but that wasn't the plan that God had for me. Right. But I am a professional in athletics, and that I'm an athletic director right now. So I am in charge of sports programs in Randolph Public Schools. So I'm a professional in the industry. Right. And my career is going to last a lot longer than any professional career you can talk about, right? Because the average is what, 2 or 3 years as a pro, and I'm already in this for 20 some odd years. Right. So I want our young people to understand that, and it's not to kill your dream. You and I both know it's important not to kill anybody's dream. What I think is a mission of mine now for the young people is just open their eyes to other opportunities within that field, within that arena. I also do men's ministry. You know, I do workshops and seminars and sessions with men to encourage them, right, to build them up, yes, to have them look in the mirror, do some reflection.
I know. You gotta give me an invite. I gotta sketch out time on my schedule, absolutely, and I'm gonna have to be a part of one of those.
I love to have you, brother. And I think what men are attracted to, just like you create an environment here of being safe and letting people be comfortable, I do the same thing in my sessions. Where, you know, yes, I'm a man of God, we're going to talk about God, but we're also going to talk about reality, some of the struggles that we deal with as men, that we hide behind these masks, and how we can be better men, better fathers, better husbands for our women, and better protectors of the community. Right. You know, those are some of the things I focus on in my sessions, man. So that, you know, in a nutshell, that's what I do right now, man.
Okay, I got a couple of things for you. It just came to my mind when, as you was talking, I got inspiration, and at the same time I got inspiration, I thought of a question, because I know it might can pull something out of you with the question. Think of one of the kids, students, athletes, players, or someone. Is there one that you had in your presence at one time or another, and you had to give him the talk that you know that you probably had a friend or somebody when we was coming up that you wish they could have gotten this talk that you're giving now?
Yeah, actually, I mean, there are a couple of them, and see, let me just say a few things about that. So I work with young men and young women, too. And you know, when I was a college coach, I was coaching women's basketball. And the reason I segued in from young men and young boys to the women's side of the game, people ever ask me, why did you go to the women's side of the game? One of the things I realized is that in our communities, there's never a shortage of men who want to coach boys, right? You go to any park, any football field, there's always men that want to coach boys. What I said, I looked around and observed, I said, what about our young sisters? Many of them come from broken homes too, without their fathers. And I said, don't they deserve an opportunity to get to know men in the community who don't want anything from them, but want to love them and be a positive role model for them as well? So in my journeys of doing that, I've seen it both on the women's side and the young men's side, where I've had that talk with a few of them. As you just said, I wish people would have sat down to talk to me about. Some of my friends I grew up with, you know, who had to who failed to live up to other people's expectations and what it did to them, right? Because, you know, one of the things, I'll give you an example. When you're in the community, you're one of the bigger kids, or you're one of the taller kids, right? That comes with a lot of expectations on you. And if you don't live up to that expectation of the community can be cruel. You know, they can be harsh in terms of how they receive you and respect you. Even though you're doing the best you can, they have you measured here, and if you don't reach that goal, the community will let you know. And I see firsthand how people responded to that. Some of them went to turn to drugs to numb the pain. Some of them went to drinking alcohol to numb the pain because they couldn't take it, right? They wanted to be themselves, but everybody wanted them to be something else. That's a lot of pressure on young people, right? To, you know, that, and so I've seen that. I also talk to people just about making good decisions, man, because I was a young man. I didn't make the best decisions of my life. You know, I was an early teenage father, you know, and I wasn't ready for the responsibility, but I had to step up and be ready for the responsibility. But I tell them, you know, listen, wait. I love the young man you had on one of your shows earlier. He said he's waiting for he has a family. I was like, go ahead, young brother. He already knows that. For me, I didn't wait. You know, I was such in a rush to just explore that side of me that I wasn't making smart decisions. And I love my kids. I didn't regret them at all, but I had them when I was young. So I had to grow up a little faster than probably I wanted to without being able to enjoy some life of just being single. I was a dad, you know, and with that comes a lot of weight, man. So I had to step up to that responsibility. So those are some of the conversations I have with young people today about consequences of your decision, both good and bad.
So let's talk about, you have a podcast.
I do.
So let's talk about, tell the people about your podcast.
Yeah, thank you for bringing that up. So I have my own podcast, very informal, not as nice as this studio you have here, but it's called Time Out with Tony. You can find it on all the major platforms. You can also find it on my website, TonyRPrice.com. Again, that's TonyRPrice.com. I videotape it, you can go there, or if you want to listen to the audio, you can just Google Apple, Spotify, all the major platforms is on there. And what I do is similar to what you're doing, Tony. I bring in men who are sometimes unsung heroes. I want people to hear their stories. I want people to hear, you know, the road to success that you mentioned earlier. How did they get there? What did you do? What did you overcome? Because people see your story now. They walked in on this chapter, but they didn't read the book prior to what you got to where you are now. So I like to have men come on and just share their stories about where they are now and how they got there and what are some of the obstacles they've overcome.
Sounds like a great show. Maybe I might, you know, get an invitation.
You are definitely going to get an invitation, brother. You can count on it, man, because I've heard your story, Tony, and I've been inspired by how you've turned your life around, brother.
Thank you.
I remember listening to your show on a podcast, and I was like, wow, I didn't know that about Tony, because I only knew Tony the ball player. And I heard your story, man. I was like, this brother is doing some major work right now, and God has turned his life around. And I'm very proud of what you're doing, brother. And I'm not surprised because you've always been driven. Even when we were in the court, you were driven to win. So I'm not surprised you had that drive, brother. But yeah, man, I'm going to have you on there so you can share with my community, my listening audience, your story, man, and things you're doing now, like such as this podcast.
Okay, so like I said, it's my pleasure having you here. I appreciate you being here. And last one I'm going to give you, I'm going to say, you got a young man right in front of you right now who thinks that, you know, he can't make it. He's using everything that society and them is going to throw in front of him as the excuse of that he doesn't see the light. Can you give him some advice? What would you say to him?
Well, the first thing I would say to that young brother is try to help him get comfortable in being who he is. And what I mean by that is I would ask him to, let's talk about his talents and gifts. I don't know if he has it. Maybe he may not be aware that he has talent and gifts. Let's explore that, what God has given you. And then let's talk about why he gave them to you, right? Maybe you're looking in the wrong area for trying to find validation for what you have. So let's see if we can narrow down a focus point for you to jump in on and build from that. I would also tell him to surround himself with people who really have his best interest at heart. Not a bunch of people who are just going to tell you what you want to hear. You need some men in your life who are going to tell you and who are going to check you. I would tell him if it's not your father, maybe it's your uncle, maybe it's your grandfather, find some men, because there are men in the community. Let's stop with the myth that there are no good men in the community. Let's stop that lie right now. you can find some good men. They may not look like you want them to look, but they're good men out in that community. Maybe they don't have the job you think they should have, whatever, but find a man that can speak some positivity into your life. And then I would say the rest is going to be up to you in terms of the decisions you make from this point forward. What do you want your future to look like? Because you can let life happen to you, or you can make something happen in life. It's one or two things. You're going to have a choice to do that. And then I would just make sure to talk about him, his spiritual growth, make sure he has a foundation for that, because that's just who I am. I'm a man of God. I'm not afraid to say that. I'm not afraid to let people know that.
Yeah, all praises.
I'm going to say, listen, man, let's see if you're not connected to a church or somebody in church, let's see if we can get you there. But I want you to have that foundation, because it's going to give you that balance, because the enemy is going to always put roadblocks in your way.
Right.
There's always going to be distractions that keep you from getting to where you need to go. And I'm going to say this, I want you to think about why are those distractions in your way? Because the enemy knows that you have a greater purpose and a greater goal. So if he can keep you distracted, you won't reach that. And when you reach your goal and your purpose, and you're living for your purpose, you're going to make the impact on a lot of people's lives. So I want that young man, that young king, as you call him, to understand that we need him.
Okay, and I'm not going to take credit for that. We're going to give credit where it's due. The salutation or saluting the young men as king I got from the brother who mentored the two men in the band program, and he calls them king, and he called me king when we first talked about getting the young men on the show. So, and I loved it, and he says that's what we are, so we should remind ourselves with that. How you doing, king? You know, and as I wrap up the show, I appreciate you having. I'm going to salute you, king.
Man, back at you, brothers. It's good for, I think, the community. Hopefully people got something out of this interview. I know you've had some great men on here, Dennis Wilson, Larry Young, who we both know, other men like that. But what people don't appreciate is when two men can sit down and have a conversation like this, man.
Right.
Even though we may have different backgrounds, different stories, there's a mutual love and admiration and respect that we have,
yes,
man.
Sir.
And I want people to appreciate that. And when you see two black men building together, that's something that you don't see often enough. But take advantage of that, man, and you're witnessing history in the making.
Yes, sir, and I appreciate, like I said, taking time out your busy schedule and coming through. And like I said, my platform is to salute and honor the men who've been doing the work for many years. I'm not the guy doing the work. I'm not the follow suit. I'm not the mentor and the role model. I'm here with the platform to shine the light and bring you those men who are doing the work. I'm trying to do the work, and as I'm trying to do the work, I gotta pay homage to those who are doing the work. So once again, my good friend Tony Price, he's here, he's a mentor, he's a role model, he's a father figure, you know, he's been doing it for years, and I'm saluting him. So once again, tell him your title and what you're doing and your podcast, and we're wrapping it up.
Tony Price, an athletic director, but more importantly, my website is tonyrprice.com. You can see what I'm doing, what I've done, and what I continue to do. Again, tonyrprice.com. I'm also doing a podcast called A Timeout with Tony. It features men that are what I call unsung heroes. So definitely check it out. And I want to, before we sign off, just say, you know, special hi to my family, because without them, you don't see the man here standing here with me.
That's right. I appreciate that. And, you know, giving definitely an applause and a shout out to the family. And like I said, wifey, she did a great job. She took care of you.
She did.
She got like 3 shout outs on the show today. So you know.
I love you, Paula. So hopefully you'll appreciate that. And then at the end of the day, to God be the glory. God gets the glory out of all what we do and what we're doing. So thank you.
All right. So once again, this is Follow Suit, Fashion Unfiltered. A great episode with my good friend Tony Price. We're wrapping it up. Hope y'all stay tuned. We'll be back with more great episodes. But right now, we're gone. Peace. We love y'all.